Welcome to Hear From Where, a podcast about the journeys that shape us. I'm your host, Chef Andrew Garrett, and each week I'll sit down with incredible individuals who've carved their own paths in health, nutrition, entrepreneurship, sports, and beyond. This is where we dive deep into the stories of determination, resilience, and passion, the moments that brought them here, from where they started. Whether you're looking for inspiration, a spark to start your own journey, or just love hearing amazing stories, then you're in the right place. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's explore what it really takes to follow your dreams. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Hear From Where podcast. I am your host, Chef Andrew Garrett. Today, I am joined by Talya Davidoff, a world-class freediver and Army National Guard soldier here in Portland, Oregon. Talya, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to get into your story. How goes it?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me. It's always fun to sit down and talk about one's passion. And today, I'm doing well. The sun is out in Portland, something my African skin needs. So I went for a jog bright and early this morning and a gym session after this. But doing well. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain a darn bit. I like yourself, I'm enjoying the sunshine. So folks have a little bit of backstory of how I met Talya. We both go to the same gym. Shout out to West Coast Strength for giving, people with dedication and determination a place to go. I saw you doing weighted pull-ups and I was like, holy smokes, like, dang, like that's legit, because I'm working my way to one pull-up body weight only, and seeing that I was like, holy smokes. And then I saw that they had reposted your story, and I found you on Instagram. And I learned that you are a world-class, not just like a recreational freediver, like you're going to go out and jump in the ocean, but like next level, actual hardcore athlete who has worked through just a ton of different obstacles to get to the level in which you're at. And you're kicking ass. And you are like on this journey to the next stage. And so I want to know, like, how did you find out that freediving was your thing?
Honestly, it was a long time coming. And when I look back and detail it, it's very easy to see that my trajectory was going to be this way. So I growing up in South Africa, growing up around the beach, growing up in the water, I was a swimmer from a very, very young age. I tried surfing, but, at that age, I think probably like 11 or 12 years old, on Nat Geo, the first ever like video footage of a man with his hand over the fin of a great white swimming off. That was on Nat Geo, and this was a whole documentary about sharks going into a catatonic state when you scratch them on the nose, long story short. And I was just like, oh my gosh, underwater is the coolest place ever. Now, so that from that age on, I was like, I'm going to become a marine biologist. And my parents were like, nah, she's going to change her mind. Just let her go. And also during this time, I was playing underwater hockey. Yeah, listen.
Okay, that's a new one. I did not know that underwater hockey existed, but now I'm going to search for it.
Listen, not a spectator sport.
Okay.
Yeah, so I used to play with my dad. He was the oldest and longest playing underwater hockey player in South Africa. And it was actually, I swear the only reason he wanted to spend this time with me was so that he could spend 2 to 3 hours a week smacking me with a hockey stick underwater and having it be justified. But yeah, so I did that, and then I then went after, we got to university, and then my parents were like, "Oh, marine biology." So yeah, I went and studied marine biology, and then after that, I worked with Michael Rutzen, who was the guy who's the first video of that great white with the diver holding its fin was a guy named Michael Rutzen. And I actually went and I worked with him and the great whites after I completed my university stint. So then I used to,
Dude.
yeah. And I also became a scuba diving instructor. Then all of a sudden I was at this like impasse of like, do I continue the academic path or do I go, a different route? And I'm not an academic. I don't want to sit in front of a computer. I want to just get out there. So I decided to pursue scuba diving and become a scuba diving instructor. And through that, I found freediving. And the second it clicked, I said I'm gonna come back next year and I'm gonna be the South African champion. I don't care. Worst mistake in the world to say that out loud. Because the amount of stress that I put on myself for that year, not recommended. But yeah, so here we are, and I don't think we can be surprised that I'm at all here. I've been everything underwater and also my dad was one of the first scuba diving instructors in South Africa. And he's no longer with us. America, don't panic. But he snuck over the border in the 70s to get his from Canada to the US to get his certification here, and then snuck back over to Canada to fly home because he couldn't get an American visa.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, and I mean it's so rare that I meet anybody from South Africa who is not a rugby player. So
who says I'm not a rugby player?
I'm joking. I'm joking. I heard underwater hockey was the first thing I heard. Was underwater hockey. So now, have you played rugby?
I mean, every South African at some stage has played rugby, but we all play it as just a fun sport at break time, right? Like growing up. This is you get your shit knocked at lunch period. You come in with a bloody nose, and the teachers are like, "What are you gonna do?"
Yeah, okay.
So I mean, my grandfather used to play professionally. He was a massive man. My uncle played for a bit, but we all grew up playing rugby, loving rugby. I mean, I remember the last World Cup I was watching on my phone in the street in Mexico and screaming. Just like the people always thought I was crazy because I'm just there with my phone. So stressed because it was a very stressful final. But South Africa took it.
One of the best I've watched. I mean, what I'm hearing is that athletics run in your family, and you are a part of a generational line of folks who really push themselves outside of the box. And you saw an opportunity to go after something that is like you went from 0 to 100 real fast. Like, I'm a scuba diver. I'm going to become a scuba diver instructor, and then you know what? I'm just going to be the best free diver in South Africa. Like, wow. Yeah. Okay, so take me through that. Do you remember the moment that you thought that? Do you remember the moment that you had that thought?
Yes. It was the first. It was the first time I'd done. The first time I ever put a monofin on. I was referred to this swimming coach who his name is Mike Dix, and then he was my first freediving coach, and he's still a very, very dear friend of mine. He's this like 6'3" ex-German Olympian swimmer. And this man just out there giving zero fucks. Like, people used to ask me if I was okay, because I'd be crying in the pool all day long. But this was the man, it's what I needed. It's what I needed, okay? I was not ready. And this man was like, yes, bitch, you're not ready. Don't worry. We'll get it sorted. But the first time, I was referred to him because no one in South Africa was really talented or knew a lot about the monofin technique. And this was about 6 weeks into me learning how to freedive. And I met with him and I put it on and I swam and I came up and he was so disgusted. And he spent like 45 minutes teaching me dolphin technique with like a swim board in like the shallow section of the pool, and just rude, just so harsh, and I'm like, I built myself up at this point. I was like, oh, I think I got this, and this man just humbled me immediately. But I had a cry, and then he said, all right, show me how far you're gonna go with this thing now. And I did 100 meters in a 25-meter pool, and with a monofin, turning in a pool, it's another whole story if you don't know how to do it. But I did it, and I came up, and I wasn't gassed, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna do this. Like, I can do this. I can definitely do this. I think the national record at the time was maybe 161 meters. And me, with zero training, zero understanding in like the shortest swimming pool, just threw out 100 on day one. So yeah, that was pretty much
it was moment. In you.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And it, just so folks understand, monofin versus, I don't know what two fins would be called.
Bifin.
Dual bifin. Yeah, duh.
Not duh. There's nothing straightforward about freediving.
Fair. So you're swimming with a single fin.
Correct. A mermaid fin. Yeah.
And you're swimming kind of like a dolphin.
Correct. As best as you can. I mean, some people, yeah. It's an interesting technique. It is hard to get right, but it's not hard to be successful. So sometimes you'll see the West Tech monofin technique, but it's just the sheer ability of a carbon fiber plated fin that gets you. It's so efficient, so much more efficient than bifins.
That's dope. And you realized at that time, you're like, oh yeah, like my goals are achievable, and now I'm going to push. And so you kind of went through a little bit of a, it sounds like your coach saw the potential in you and brought that out in a really like hard way. And that was something that you were receptive to. And I'm the same way, as I'm really receptive to hard disciplined coaching. When I was in the Army, basic training was really exactly what I needed. And I loved it because I was like, oh yeah, you're yelling at me. Yeah, I'm in. Like, let's go. So that's something that you really responded well to, and then started to find your stride.
Yeah, I mean, for lack of a term, I mean, please, people don't think I hate myself, but I'm a little bit of a bitch sometimes. And that just, sometimes I don't need someone to, it's okay. I need someone to be like, so what, your leg got blown off? You're doing pull-ups tomorrow, and I respond really well to that. And I think it's a certain set of people, like my partner, he was a Marine. The second you come to him with that hard stuff, he's like, I'm out. Peace. He's like, I did my time. My coach is Mike was. So the other thing that happened was, like, shortly after that, I moved to the Maldives for the year to go and work as a scuba diving instructor, and earn dollars. So I was training. I got permission to train in their pool while I was, working at this resort. But all my training was basically done alone. And then I came back to South Africa a year later and got back in with my coach ahead of the national championship.
Excellent.
The amount of trust I had to put in that man to get me to the world champ. Because this guy was making me get in the pool twice a day. 2 pool sessions and gym in the middle. I was barely conscious. I'd get up in the morning, I'd eat oatmeal, I'd go to the pool, do my pool session, come home, eat something, sleep, wake up, go to the gym, do my gym, eat post meal, sleep. Like I was for like 6 weeks leading up, I did nothing other than like focus on diving. It was insane.
My God. And what age were you at that time?
Oh, that would have been 2016, so I would have been 25.
Dang. So, and here's the thing that I think that, we have a lot of armchair athletes in the world that, don't really understand the dedication and discipline that goes into, really honing your craft and becoming that next tier. At 25 years old, your peers are out partying, they're having a great time, they're, living their lives. And you've made this decision to push yourself in a direction that other people. Did you find yourself being isolated from your peers and feeling like you were kind of like on an island in a sense?
I mean, I was isolated on an island for real. So, so not really a hypothetical. So, I was on this resort in the Maldives, and the island is the resort is the island. There's nothing there. You just worked and then you hid. I threatened to burn the place. They were like, okay, you can leave.
It's brilliant. So good.
Paradise Prison, and also not recommended. But yeah, so with my friends, I've been pretty lucky. I've got a group of girlfriends that we've all been like really close since we were like 4 or 5 years old. And our lives have gone completely different directions, but we still all see each other and we still all love each other and we still are best friends. So even if they were like, I don't even need them to know what I'm doing. They don't need to know what I'm doing. They need to know that I'm doing something. That's it. And then they're 100% support. I'll come in there and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I just hit 150. And they're like, yeah, what does that mean? So I always felt really supported by my friendship group, in that sense, but I've always been incredibly independent anyway. Even with my friends were all incredibly independent people. So the stuff that we did growing up, my university experience, I'm realizing is like very, very different to what most people experience, is where I was the dumbest person in my university group. I was by far. I mean, I loved university. I was terrible at it. How I got a degree, it's a miracle. But I mean, it wasn't like I was a shitbag. I was there. I love it. Just turns out ADHD and autism, undiagnosed until recently. Yeah, so I was the dumbest person at university. So I was always when you find yourself in that situation and you become aware of it, you realize that the people around you are just doing crazy things when they're this kind of smart. Like one friend is, I'm going to go and spend the summer in India working at a leprosy hospital. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, dog, I'm just going to try and pay rent. I don't, yeah. So, it was, I've had my core group since childhood, and then kind of very transient friendship groups throughout. So, and having just spent a year out of the country to come back in, and not planning on staying. I was planning on I went to Thailand after that stint. But so it was, my friends have always supported me. We've always kind of been friends at a distance because we moved away from each other, like even from as early as the age of 6. So it's always been really easy to maintain my friendship across all of that.
That's awesome. I love that. Now, how'd the national championships go?
Oh, my glory hat. My mother passed out. Yes. My mother passed out full side. It was phenomenal, right? So, like, my mom knows so much about freediving. Back in the day, she thought, yeah, it's just another one of these things that Talya picked up and she's going to go do. But then national championships comes around and she starts realizing, where I'm like now discussing with the championship committee, like, can I start a day before? It doesn't need to count towards the national championships. There just aren't enough days for me to break records, as many records as I'm planning on breaking. So, and at this point, my mom's like, what? And my mother is a smoker. She smokes the tiny, skinny little Vogue Slims. And I mean, I remember I'm like warming up in the pool, getting ready. It's the day before the World Champs, but I'm going for the monofin national record. And I look up, and my mom is like a caged tiger outside. You could see her through the glass panels, just smoking. Very, very stressed. And I end up, first day I do it, I get it, crushed it, woo, phenomenal. Go home, or go to the place we're staying. Next day now I'm supposed to go for the Bifins national record. And I am not super good at Bifins at this point. We haven't trained it overly much. I have a bit of a mental block with it. So I'm stressed. And anyway, and now the whole competition is happening. So other people are competing as well. So I don't know if there's anyone going to show up and like sneak out and be like, hey, look, I'm a 200-meter diver. But anyway, so the first day I flunk out the first dive. I end up coming up a meter short of the record on Bifins. And I'm pissed. I'm crying and I'm upset and I'm everything. And the next day I come back and I decide I'm going to do this. I'm either hit the wall or I'm going to black out, but we are not stopping. And I go and I act like I went a little too hard and got to 150 meters. And so I was so surprised. I saw the wall and I was like, oh my God, wall. I come up and I do the protocol, and there's like a whole group standing at the edge. They're waiting to see, the card, there's cameras, there's everything. And I look around and I look at my coach, and my coach is like, look at the judge. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sorry. But I'm like, my mom's not here. So I get the white card, woo, and my stepdad's standing there. And I'm like, Dad, like, where's mom? And he's like, no, she's with the medics. I was like, what do you mean she's with the medics? No, she passed out on the side of the pool while she was walking as you were going. And I was like, why did she pass out? No, she was holding her breath. We don't know why. My mom was so stressed that she forgot to breathe and missed my record. But bless her. But the World Championship, that part was the pool. There were like 2 pool days and 1 ocean day. And the ocean was the part where depth is a different ball game. And I hadn't trained in open ocean at that stage. And we're in Port Elizabeth, and we're in an area that you just sit on that boat and it just gives you sharks. You just know they are. I'm like a great white shark biologist. I know when there's sharks in the water. I just do, my man, I do. And we like out in open ocean, and it's wavy and it's rough and you can't see anything. Anyway, I somehow managed to make my dive. And then it wasn't a national record, but it was the deepest dive for a female in South Africa. So yeah, then after that, I don't think I touched freediving for 6 months. Like, yeah, it was such an unhealthy relationship with freediving to begin with that I became so destructive after that championship. I was just like, right, cigarette, glass of wine, thank you. And you probably couldn't remove the two of those things from me for about 6 months after that first championship.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's extreme. Like, to me, that's very interesting. That's a very interesting dynamic to it, right? Because you threw yourself into something that is not. This is not an easy sport. Like, this is something that takes a ton of mental discipline, physical discipline, and commitment to those disciplines. And so, like, it's adrenaline at the max. Like, this is life and death. Like, it's not just something that you're doing. Like, you're not going for a swim in the pool. Like, you are pushing yourself and your body beyond what we're supposed to be capable of. And so you're breaking these mental barriers, these physical barriers throughout this process, and then it ends. And I can associate that, from my experience, with similar to like a combat situation where, like, all of a sudden, like, everything's just quiet and there's this weird calm, and you don't know, like, your brain doesn't know how to process exactly what's happening, and it's like, okay, like, how can I get back to that, like I gotta go fast.
Yeah.
And so you kind of found that with drinking and nicotine, and that was like the solution there for a period of time.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I like to go fast, and I've had to learn how to slow down a lot over the last couple of years. But yeah, going fast, but also just such a poor. The best way to explain it was, I think the relationship became with freediving initially was so destructive because I tied so much self-worth to a number. Yeah, so it became about, like, if I didn't get that, then I was a terrible person, or I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't working hard enough, or so yeah, it was very much a goal oriented, because that was the mistake that I'd made. Is I set a massive goal and I said it out loud so people could hold me accountable for it, and then I burned myself holding myself accountable. So it was very much a matter of, my self-worth was very impacted, and I was very tied to these numbers all of a sudden. So yeah, it took a long time for me to heal my relationship with freediving and my relationship as a competitive, being in a competitive sport. It is, you've got to figure out. I was not happy for the longest time, and so much so that, like, I mean, there's various stories of this on the interweb, is that, like, I lost my dad and then tried to dive a few days, like a day or two after he died, and try and get a national record. And I convinced myself that he'd want me to. Fucking, my dad would never have wanted me to. Like, like, logically, I'm like, my dad was able to talk down from the heavens, he would have been, you fucking idiot. What are you doing? So yeah, and it was kind of then that I started figuring out how to have a healthy relationship with freediving as well as competitive freediving, because once again, you have to figure out self-worth versus the numbers game or the medals game now, because that's where it is now for me. I'm playing the medals game, and but I come back and I'm still a 13 Bravo shitbag, and I'm still a physical therapist aide, and I'm still got to pay my fucking car insurance, you know. So you just kind of learn, like, you learn that life isn't that mundane, and yes, you do these amazing things, but you're just part of such a small world, and just get over it. Like, there are people within our community who eat, sleep, breathe freediving, and it's so hard to be around them because I'm like, bitch, get a day job. Like, I don't know, you know, I don't, you need something, because if freediving gets taken away from you, what are you? I am not a freediver. I am Talya, and I just so happen to freedive. And I believe that learning that relationship and not taking it all, like, yes, it's important to me. Obviously, it's important to me, but it's not the be all and end all. And that there are other things in life that are worth time and effort and mental space. So, yeah, as you know, my mom said it for years, don't take life too seriously. None of us are getting out of it alive. So
Love that.
yeah. So
I love that.
It's, that's kind of, learning the relationship with self-worth has been really imperative to be a high level freediver. And at the end,
that's amazing.
Yeah, the outcome doesn't matter.
It doesn't, and I love that you speak to that in such a real way, that you've gone through this experience where recognizing self-worth versus, identifying yourself as this thing. I think a lot of people struggle with that just in general life, is, understanding a purpose or having a purpose, and then not allowing yourself to be identified by this assumed purpose, while still seeking to live a fulfilled life. That's a really difficult thing for a lot of folks to go through and experience. And so hearing you speak to that and how that experience has been is it's powerful. And I think that that's one of the things that really sets you apart from others is going to be your humility, right? It's like that humility is something that you don't see in professional athletes. And whether you like it or not, like, you're a professional athlete, and that's amazing, and like, how cool is that you get a chance to experience this duality of life, right? Like the actual duality, but it's the singular thing, is it's you. And that is, like, that's awesome, dude. Like, thank you for sharing that. That's phenomenal. And you know what else? I mean, we dove right into this, no pun intended there, but we didn't even talk about what freediving is. I'm just assuming that people that are listening,
you're right, know
exactly what freediving is. And, like, as you've been speaking, I'm realizing my conception of freediving is sounds like the ocean freediving is what I'm used to, but there's also in pool freediving. So could you break down freediving for us real quick?
Absolutely. So freediving, at the core, we should look at the term apnea. Apnea is the art of holding one's breath. Right, so whether we do it on purpose or not, at least my CPAP friends who need with their sleep apnea, but apnea is holding the breath. So we can have dynamic apnea, we can have static apnea. So that is all in the pool. Dynamic means we're traversing the pool while holding our breath. Static means we're holding our breath, lying face down in the water, questioning our life choices. And then we get to depth. So depth is, how deep can you go on a single breath? And there are 4 disciplines within that. First is monofin, bifins. Then we get into free immersion, which is pulling yourself up and down a line. Super fun. And that's why you see me do those weighted pull-ups. And then last but not least, what they call the purest form of freediving is no fins, which is effectively breaststroke underwater, all the way down, all the way back up. Very difficult. And that is constant weight freediving. That is when, with what you go down with, you have to come up with. Then there is variable weight freediving, where people pretty much get drugged down by an anchor to a certain depth and then they swim back up. That's variable weight. You do not come back up with what you went down with. And then there's no limits. And that's just, in my opinion, a very, very dumb form of freediving. It's just a way to get killed. And that is where you are slid down, both down and up, completely assisted both ways. So and so people go like deeper than 200 meters, or like, you know, let's say 650 feet, 700 feet maybe, while doing that. But that's just, yeah, it's, do not recommend. Please don't do that, world.
That sounds crazy. So you're diving on a single breath, and you're also physically exerting yourself to go to that depth. So in my mind, I'm thinking about, I did deadlifts this morning. I'm thinking like, if I don't breathe through a 1 second deadlift, I'm like near passing out. Like, what was it like learning how to hold your breath while also exerting yourself physically? Is there a meditative kind of property to that you've worked on, that you've kind of honed over the years, or?
So this is now you're getting into my real passion as a
let's go
advocating within the sport. You know, so a lot of people are very, you know, the aspect of freedivers, are, you know, we are considered people to be very calm, very zen, very mentally like quiet. I would say everyone talks about peace, and every time I hear that, I want to repeatedly smash my face into the nearest flat object, repeatedly. Because, and this was one of the things that took me a really long time to learn, is that our sport is so young that we should not get stuck in one way of thinking. So I always tried to be the kumbaya, peace be with you. And the more I tried to just be calm and just relax and just, it's gonna be fine, just meditate and do yoga, and the more and more stressed I became, like the far more stressed. And I then had to learn, and then I had to accept that I'm different. And then me trying to conform to what everyone else is doing is not helpful for me. And so what we did was, I've got so let's see now. Let's say 3 years ago now, I was diagnosed. I'm on the spectrum, very politely, with ADHD and autism. So inherently, my brain's going to work differently. So I play fuck around until 4 minutes. That's pretty much how I do it. So everyone else is like, you know, come to the competition area. Everyone else is like in, you know, their Uddiyana Bandha locks and doing their breathe ups and lying down and being super peaceful. And I'm like in the corner with drum and bass in my headset. And I'm just like, it's well known within our community at any given stage, Davidoff's in a corner dancing. And I do that, and I keep myself distracted until 4 minutes until I need to dive. But when I turn on at 4 minutes, I turn on 100%. And that's when my focus goes from nothing to a pattern. And then from that 4 minutes, I know it's going to take me 4 breaths to get to 3 minutes. It's going to take me 4 breaths to get to 2 minutes. During the second set of 4 breaths, I need to have my nose clip on. During the second set as well, I need to get my fluid goggles on. Third set, I'm just getting comfortable. And then for the final minute, I've got 1 longish breath, 5 purge cycles, a long exhale, and a big peak inhale. And then I have something to do for every meter of the dive. These people who just, I fell asleep and, felt like a drop falling from Buddha's tear ducts. Like I am fighting for my life, because the second I am not thinking about something, my brain's like, you're gonna die.
Yes. Yeah, relatable.
It's so for me, I have to, like, I can't have that thought. So I count in sets of 8. Is it? Am I counting 8 anythings? No, I'm not counting 8 kick cycles. I'm not counting 8 lines. I'm just counting to 8 a million times over. And then once I get to the plate, because I have to focus on pressurizing my station tubes on the way down, and you've got to stay really focused on that, because that's make or break it for a dive. So once and when you get to the plate, you're done worrying about that, because you don't need to worry about your ears on the way back up. Now it's just coming back up. And then I'll normally sing a song to myself on the way back up. I'll hype myself up. I catch myself doing the Samuel L. Jackson version of Nicki Minaj, and they ain't saying nothing. 100 motherfuckers can't tell me nothing. Bees in the trap, bees in the trap. So yeah, I'll do a lot of that kind of thing to distract myself on the way up. And then once I have the safety divers around me and I can see them, then I can then my brain can la. But I do need to focus dependent, because if I'm hypoxic, I need to try and do the right thing on the surface to stay conscious. But yeah, for me, it's like distract. And I'm pretty sure that it's not like that. Well, no one else has been very vocal about doing that. And I think it's been very crucial for our community, because I think up until now, there have been a lot of really interesting perceptions of what freediving is and what a freediver is. And it's over the last, let's say, 3 years, that's really been questioned within our community. It's shaken our community. And we have very much like a big divide. It's so much, once again, it's too many people who don't have their jobs. There's so much drama on like, what is a freediver, or what is freediving for me? And I'm like my best friend, who's she's the American national record holder in no fins, and she's a doctor. She's working on like going towards like kidney transplants. Like that's, I feel like, the direction that she's going in. She's probably gonna smack me because I'm being super vague and maybe possibly wrong, but she's saving lives, and you're going, freediving for me is experiencing the kindness and beauty of the world. Like, yeah. So yeah, our community is very dramatic, and a couple of them need need some more mundane things to happen in their lives. But yeah,
So cool. And I love that it's not what I perceived at all. And because our idea of what I had seen is like this, like really calm, and I myself struggle with I've got the spicy depression, and so I've sought for years of like, how do I quiet this thing? But a lot of times for me, quieting it means going and lifting heavy things, or going and hiking to a really hot, like tall mountain, and just being like, and counting every single step that I take. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And, like, so hearing that as like, oh, this is a normal, like other people do this. Like, how cool is that? Right.
yeah.
And it's, I think it's really important that folks understand that, we all push ourselves through these challenges in different ways, and the way that works for you to quiet that thing is okay. And like, so that's awesome that you're out there, that you're sharing that. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, like, right on.
I think it's very, because that's the other thing is that like I've also been very vocal about depression and anxiety. I have anxiety. I've got you know like a diagnosis, and people are like, she's doping, and I'm like, y'all, if you understood, I'm just trying to get back to 0. You guys are starting at 10. I'm starting at -10. I'm just trying to get back to 0. I'm not even trying to get to you. So it's I've been very, very vocal because I think it really cuts a lot of people away from sports, is when you think that you need to have this like super clear goal, clear mindset, clear this, locked in, whatever. And honestly, I think there's just so many ways to skin a cat that it's not going to just like a squat is not going to build quads for everybody. Like me with my long ass femurs, but it doesn't mean that it's not useful. So yeah, it's just it's a matter of letting people know that, you know what, there is no, some people are born with it, some people work really hard for it, some people are skinny, some people are not, some people are vegan, some people are not. There is no one way to be a successful freediver. And for me, mental toughness is honesty as well. Like, yeah, it's a shit show in here, and I'm not going to pretend it's not. Who does that serve? It serves no one. And if people know that I can still get up there and have the shit show go on and still compete at a high level, like maybe that can inspire them to go and do something, even just go to the gym. Like, I feel like sport is often put as this pinnacle. And I mean, yes, when the sad stories come out, or whenever, anything comes out, it's always misladen with drama and emotion. Kudos, you go and watch freediving on Netflix over dramatized. Please. We are like, it's not that drama. It's not that much drama. There really is not that much drama. It's exactly the same. Like, people are like, oh, you're in the National Guard. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, that must be really hard. I'm like, bitch, we play Army for 2 days a month. Like, play the game. It's not, it's what you make of it. You're either going to be smart or you're going to be strong. But yeah, like, it just means that this should be it should be available to everyone. And even when we pose ourselves, they come across as these like gigantic, hardcore, super deep superhero divers, I think it's super important to remind them that there's a person behind there, because when we forget that there's a person behind there, and then we just start talking about these people like they're products and that it doesn't matter, and then all of a sudden, oh, well, Usain Bolt was just naturally gifted and fast. He did nothing. Like, it's imagine someone said that. Like, no.
They do say that.
Exactly. But that's my whole point. If you had to go back and you had to realize, hey, look where this kid came from, and listen to him talk about a couple of things, you'll realize just another bro going through it like the rest of us. So I think that's actually the athletes at the high level. It is their responsibility to become more relatable.
I love that. It was one of the things that really drew me to playing rugby. So as an American, I found rugby as a 15-year-old kid. And I saw people that were smaller than myself winning battles on a pitch that was not designed for small people to win at. And
what position did you play?
I was a hooker for most of my rugby career.
Oh, and then, that's... what is it? What is that? Nearly said fable. It's pretty sure it's in the Bible. David and Goliath. You're the David.
Yeah,
You're the David
exactly.
and the Goliaths.
Exactly. And hookers are a special breed of psychopaths, and I fit that mold for that position. But it was the athletes had day jobs, and even at the professional level, it wasn't this thing where I could easily say, oh well, that guy gets paid to go work out. It's one of the things that drives me nuts. So I work with professional athletes as a chef. I have a handful of professional athletes that I cook for, and I get the inside track on what the day-to-day is really like. And I think that it's easy for a lot of us to sit back and say, oh, well, if I was getting paid to do that, I would be, this, that, or the other. And it's like, well, I think that's the forward facing, projection that we have is, but there's so much work that goes into reaching the levels that y'all are reaching, and I
And
think
we're
that the
not
mental
paid.
side of it,
And we're not paid.
exactly. And that's the other side of it is like, y'all are working towards something that is not a $3 billion TV contract. This is y'all are doing this, for lack of a better term, love of the game. Like, that's truly what you're doing it for.
Yeah.
And that's so amazing to me. And to have that kind of dedication to it, and then to share your experience beyond just this, oh yeah, you want to dive, like, come dive, but being very real is such a great way to invite people to enjoy the sport. I think that that's a very open invitation for folks to understand it and get involved.
Yeah, I just think like there's so many misconceptions. There's so many about freediving. And once everyone realizes, I'm like, well, I can say, like, guess what? You are physiologically designed to do this. Not just me, everyone and their uncle are physiologically designed to freedive. We've got physiological mechanisms within our body from evolutionary traits, from when we used to be ocean dwelling dickheads. Yeah.
Fascinating. I learned about culture in Japan where there is an entire culture of women who dive for shellfish.
Yeah, they do. Do you know why it's women?
No, I don't.
Because the men,
I know that I read
men
it.
take too much. The women are more conservative. Therefore, the men are not allowed. Yeah, right.
Shocking.
Yeah, the armor divers. But no, even evolutionarily, we've got a couple of things. Let's just say off the bat, from what's the most relatable? When people are stressed, they tend to, you always see it in the movies, that, they'll go into a bathroom, they'll splash their face with cold water. There are nerves underneath the eyes, trigeminal nerves. And what happens is when you expose this area to cold water, your body signals that your eyes are about to go underwater, and therefore you need to hold your breath. So bradycardia starts. The heart rate immediately starts slowing down, which is so that's what bradycardia is. When cold, well, that in that sense, bradycardia means slow heart rate. But when water cold touches these areas, the heart rate will start to slow down. And now you understand why we go and splash our faces with cold water, is because we're stressed, and unbeknownst to us, we're not even thinking about it. We're slowing our heart rate down. Another thing that happens when we get into the water is called peripheral shunt. So blood will move from our, and I'm going to get in trouble for this because we say skeletal, but skeletal, if I must, from our skeletal system into our abdomen area. And that blood comes in to support the organs under pressure. So we get that. And then aside from that, we get something called a splenic contraction when we hold our breath. So that's basically, the spleen is where all the red blood cells go to get decomposed after 100 days. The average red blood cell life, 100 days. So when the body is signaled for apnea, the spleen will contract, pushing out any red blood cells that it has in it. And because basically it says right now we need more buses on the road, so because we need to pick up more oxygen. So the body has, and then between that, the splenic contraction and the peripheral shunt, a lot of that blood starts putting pressure on the bladder. One of the first things we do when we get in the water is pee. So yeah, it's everyone can hold their breath. Everyone. It's just learning how and understanding what your body's telling you, and because the urge to breathe doesn't actually mean you are out of air.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. I had no idea why. I cold plunge, and so like I feel like I'm getting some of that, but like I understand like the cold on the face. I never knew that. That's wild. That is wild. So we are designed to be okay going underwater. Okay.
Exactly. So I think the more, I think people need to. I will tell anyone, if I see anyone who looks like they're mildly active, I'm like, yo, the US men's team, freedivers, they're struggling. We need someone on the team. Anyone, just show up. It'll be fine. And like, I truly believe that. Like, I honestly think everyone can do this. I think that our sport is so young that we are yet to see the great mavericks.
Really?
Yeah.
So how long has freediving been, a sport, if you will? That's a weird. I don't know why I'm quoting that. But...
No, you're right. It's weird. It's even a weird thing to say. Freediving as a competitive sport is
competitive sport. That's a better way of phrasing it. Thank you.
Yeah, as a competitive sport. Here's the thing. With a set of regulations. As soon as freediving started becoming regulated, that would have, I think, 2000, 2001.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is very young.
Correct. Yeah. Super young.
Dang. Yeah. So what were people doing before that?
Well, they were
diving for fun and
they were diving. Like, I mean, there were competitions held in Italy every year, but there was no technique. There was no bros were just hyperventilating, swimming down, and the goal was to like pick up sand at the bottom. And yeah, so it was. I think then enough people had started doing it because people were shooting fish more than anything. Spearfishing is so big. Yeah, so with that, I think the competitive sport, it is so young, and initially was like dominated by a certain type of person. Now we're starting to see domination of muscly people. Up until now, it's been like super skinny, super flexible, possibly vegetarian. And like right now, it's like the top three in each are just like, people who look like they push power at the problem. So we have no idea what is the ideal body type? What is the ideal lung volume? What is, like we have someone like here, for example, Zsofia, she's the current world champion. Zsofia started depth. She was a pool athlete, massive pool athlete. Walked into depth last year. Has already broke the world record in training for free immersion. And she's going for a world record after having only been a depth freediver for 1 year.
Dang.
So
that's wild.
Yeah, that's we're at a place where and it's such an interesting place to be, because that's where the crazy divide is. There are people who inherently think, oh, I've been doing this for 10 years. If you're better than me, you cheated. and they hate somehow, like, because the sport is so small and tight knit, somehow people believe that you had to earn your spot, like, through blood, sweat, and tears. And you can't, like, as a scientist, you can't look at that. Like, you can be like, I'm so sorry your feelings got involved, but, like, physiologically she gets it. Her body can do it. We know she's got the legs and she's got the lungs. She proved that in the pool. Someone just taught her how to equalize, and she's got the mental game of a fucking rhinoceros. I don't know. Like, Joffy's an absolute tank, and she's been there for a year. And I'm telling you now, there's at least 60% of, let's say, women within our sport who believe that she's doping. And I'm just like, y'all, she's just good. I'm sorry she's better than you. She's better than me. Like, I've been in it for a while and she just came in, and I'm just like, congrats.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It does fascinate me because folks can't wrap their head around, like, the idea that someone is better than them without this, like, I gave everything to this and now, it's like, no, like, celebrate that. Like, this is your opportunity to be a legend now. Like, allow yourself to be humble and cheer for someone next to you or someone that's moving the sport forward. It would just seem so much more practical to me. And I also have a hard time wrapping my head around, because I'm a Hulk smash sport guy. Like, doping to me is like, get big, smash rock. I can't imagine how, like, even doping would be helpful in going. So, like,
no one has good answers for this, but they've banned benzos because they think that we were taking benzos before dives, and I'm like, bitch, I'm taking benzos before panic attacks. Do you think I will be able to bring myself back up? Can you imagine me benzo halfway down?
Good night.
Bye.
Yeah.
Like, it's the fucking insanity of it. But yeah, I am yet to understand right now. Oh, here's a good one. Yeah. What's this drug that's banned now that they just banned? Sildenafil, Viagra.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's a vasodilator.
Oh, yeah, less vascular constriction.
Listen, my ears have nothing that's air. Not like, to me, there's no logical way. I don't know that, like, because there's, you could, if it was all about muscle, it would have been achieved by now. If it was all about breath hold, it would have been achieved by now. If it was all about ears, it would have been achieved by now. It's some really weird combination of the three. And I mean, I don't know how you can do it. Maybe the blood. That's the one way that you would be able to.
Yeah, I don't know. So as a scientist, and you are a scientist, and so you have, like, a scientific thought process through things. Do you find yourself kind of analyzing things in a very scientific way before, like, as you envision your next competition, or are you more in line with, yeah, I'm just going to go do that now?
It's a weird combination of the two, because I've had to I need science to convince me to do something.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you couldn't convince me to rest for 3 minutes in between a set until you showed me the science. I'm like, 45 seconds, come on, I gotta go. But, like, it took me, like, the 3 to 5 second rest, the ATP, the whole thing. Like, once I understood it, I was like, now I can rest and disassociate for 3 minutes at a time, no problem. But I need science to show me before you're going to make me do something I don't want to do.
Mm.
So along with that, and my coach is this Croatian dude. I mean, he's just got the world record for the longest, like, oxygenated breath hold. I think it was like 29 minutes. Yeah. And they were just in Russia diving under, like, 3 foot of ice, and like, this guy is insane. This is my coach. This Vito is he's the type of coach that I need. But he's also like, he's incredibly scientific. He works constantly with universities. He's always like, we're always posing questions, and he's always running tests. Like, the first time he got decompression sickness, and that's the bends, and that's very dangerous. And with freedivers, it's very dangerous when it happens. And Vitamir knows this. What does Vitamir do? He goes, well, the first thing I did was, like, I totally knew what was happening. So I started to walk over to the oxygen, and I sat down, and then I started doing a bunch of neurological tests, because, like, I wanted to see exactly where and how I was affected. And I was like, you're assuming your brain was working to begin with, dog. And like, so that's the type of coach that I have. So when he tells me to do something, I do it. I don't really ask questions, because I'm pretty sure he's put himself in the situation to test it. And that's what makes him I would say the most successful freediving coach within our industry ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's wild. And that hits on another thing you said earlier, is like the trust that you have in your coaches. Because like, you have to be able to trust these folks, and to have that kind of trust, and then just blindly, I mean, it's faith, right? It's blind. It's blindly believing something that you don't understand, but you know that it's going to be okay because you've got this back.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no,
that's awesome.
He's I've the trust that but he's showed up every time. You know, if you're down, you're down on a, let's say, like 260-foot dive. I'm on a 260. It's not a shallow dive. I'm focused. I'm doing what I turned around at the plate, and he's just there with his GoPro, and I'm like, what are you doing down here? Like, you should stop at 120 feet, not come down. And then there was one day where he just straight up decided that, like, my dive looked too easy. My dive looked too easy, and he grabbed me on the way up and added drag to make the dive harder. And like that like, this is, yeah, he's insane. But I love him for it. I had to explain what anxiety felt like to him, because he'd never experienced it.
That's awesome. And I mean, this is actually a good question. Is I think that we underestimate how important coaching is in the world. And I think that in the world of influencers, especially like in the fitness space, I see this a lot. Christina, my wife, is, she works with a coach, and it took her a really long time to find a coach that really fit her goals. And I think that we get thrown in this idea that, you have to choose the most popular coach, and this is, they're popular, so choose them. But it's okay to like not fit every single person. Again, like we were talking about earlier, is like being tossed inside this box and told that this is the box you have to fit in is such nonsense. And it's so mainstream in a world where we're supposed to be breaking these boundaries and breaking the walls down and saying it's okay to like figure out who the right coach is for you.
I don't care if I'm coaching you for pool or depth or anything. By the time I'm done with you, you will be able to do a pull-up. I believe that everyone needs to be able to do a pull-up. Obviously, I mean, if you can't, you can't. But there's a very, very specific concept here, is that I feel like people don't understand, especially from an athletic perspective. I want to be an athlete. I also want to look good. I also don't want to be overweight. I also hate my cellulite. But I also want to max out my Army fitness test. And my goal is then to find out how I can make that work for you. I'm not going to say pick one. I'm never going to tell my person pick one. I'm going to say, okay, how are we going to get this? Like, understand, like, and I think that that's probably the most valuable thing that I've ever learned, is don't just do one thing, because if it doesn't work out, then what do you have? Don't just hold on to one sentiment. Don't just, like, it's never, be a jack of all trades. Because you focus on one thing, you know, you get, you know what, I'm going to become a great squatter. I'm going to become, great at hip thrusts. Women make this mistake all the time. They want to hip thrust until the cows come home. And then you're struggling to walk because you've created an imbalance because you've been neglecting your quads and your psoas and your hip flexors. You know, I'm so glad you've got glutes of steel, but now, you know, so it's understand. I think we need to come into into an area now where we need to stop focusing on one thing. Where, like, when someone comes into a gym and says, "What do you want to do?" "I want to lose weight." Get up. I mean, yes, I want you to lose weight, but it's not a tangible goal. Losing something is not tangible. So we've got to make something tangible because it's measurable. You've got to have something measurable. So whenever I say I want to lose weight, I'm like, okay, what else? You know, have you done push-ups? Do you ever want to be able to do a push-up? Do you have a 1 mile? Do you want to be able to run a 1 mile in certain time? We need to set a myriad of goals along the process in order to achieve the true long-term goal, which is the ability to train for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, I was talking to someone at the gym this morning about that. He told me he's 68 years old, and I did not believe him for a single second. And he said, I want to train for the rest of my life. Like, this is what I want, is a longevity.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I personally, like, for me, when I go to the gym, like, I have a myriad of goals of, like, you know, my achievables, my stretchables, and let's fucking goes. And so I think that that's important. I like to hear that from someone else that's out there doing it. What's next on the list for you right now? What is your current push towards?
World Championships, end of September in Limassol, Cyprus. That's what I'm working towards. Obviously, financially is the biggest issue. So I have a funding, what do you call, like, a fundraiser, an online, a GoFundMe, but not a GoFundMe. It's called like a Spot Me or something like that. Spot Fund, excuse me. For anyone who wants to help contribute towards my season. It kind of ramps up, gets to about $20,000. And that is, you know, because I've got to cover rent here, I've got to cover rent where I'm living. You know, the expenses don't stop here. And it takes me, I'm normally out for about 3 months because I can't train here, can't train depth here. I have to go somewhere else and acclimate ahead of the World Championships. But right now, and there's a competition just before and just after, both in Cyprus. I think in my budget, I think that's like the lowest I can afford for. Like, I mean, I can't afford it yet, but that's like the bare minimum that I would need to cover. So yeah, just training towards that. Gonna get in the pool tomorrow downstairs with the old biddies. It's my favorite place in that gym. They're old biddies at our gym. I would die for them. I will wait. I would wait at the bottom of the stairs for 20 minutes while all of them come out from that class that they take. And I'll happily wait at the bottom. Come, please, next one. Take your time.
And they're all so lovely and welcoming and smiling. I love them. Yes, agree, 100%.
Yeah. So right now it's just training for that and figuring out sponsorships. I always say, like, we always know someone. We always know someone who's got too much money and nothing good to do it with. Do something with it. So if you know someone, I'm a great tax write-off.
That's true. This is an opportunity. I know who you are. You know you're going to get a phone call from me. You need to make a tax donation, tax exempt donation.
Exactly. Don't worry. But yeah, other than that, like my other goals this year are 135 bench press, 5 rep. And I'm getting close, man. I'm at I think I'm at 125 for three sets of 5 rep.
Oh heck yeah!
So yeah, my first big wheel of cheese. I'm pretty excited.
Yes.
A muscle up needs to. I'm pretty sure I can do a muscle up. I just need to be taught how to do a muscle up.
Muscle up's the pull up.
Yeah, and then you go over.
Okay.
Yeah. And then yeah, I think those are like my two major. And then 300-pound deadlift. I'm waiting on that. I'm getting close.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Well, for a 5 rep, like I think I don't worry about single reps for me. Like right now, like I'm 280 for a 5 rep, so I'm pretty sure that's a single 300-pound.
Oh yeah. Hey, if you're 5 rep in 280, yeah. Just for one, that's easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right on.
Yeah. So
right.
yeah.
I am very excited to watch this adventure, and I definitely am just so happy to have met you and to hear your story and to hear the depth of you, not just the outside, but the depth. And I think that that's so important to hear. And thank you so much for sharing it with us. I look forward to more. This is gonna be awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And where can people follow along? I'm going to post everything in the show notes, so everybody knows where to find things. But like Instagram, TikTok's a thing people do. Facebook, weird.
So it's going to be Instagram and byproduct Facebook. I'm unfortunately unwilling to learn another social media app. TikTok.
Yes.
Peace out. I'm just too old.
Right there with you.
And I can't. Yeah, I can't. I'm one spreadsheet away from running my laptop, so let's not. But yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram. That's where you can follow me, and of course everything that gets posted on Instagram moves onto Facebook because I've got a wonderful and supportive community that only vibes on there as well, and I love them for it too. So yeah, that's where I'll be. Check me out online. I'm pretty busy.
Sick. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic week. I appreciate you, and yeah, we'll see you on the other side here.
Yeah, see you at the gym.
That's it for this episode of Here From Where. Thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. A huge thanks to Justin Pitaleski for the music and sound production, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep moving forward. All the best, and happy cooking.